Alright, welcome everyone to the Murray City Municipal Council Committee of the Whole meeting, December 9th, 2025. I would like to excuse Council Member Scott Goodman. He is not here for this meeting. First thing on our agenda is the approval of minutes of the Committee of the Whole, November 18th, 2025. I will take a motion and a second.
I will make a motion.
Oh, is there any changes or anything anybody have seen or anything? I didn't see anything, did any? Okay, sorry.
All right, I will make a motion to approve the minutes for November 18th, 2025 for the Committee of the Whole.
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you. Okay, seeing that there's no problems with the minutes, I will ask all in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Seeing that there's none, the minutes are approved. Okay, our first agenda item tonight is discussion on an ordinance related to land use, amends, updates, renames the existing Fashion Place West Small Area Plan to the Fashion Place West Station Area Plan as an element of the general plan. I just had to make sure I saw you.
Yes.
Zachary Smallwood and guest.
Mark Morris.
Thanks, Maura.
Thank you, thank
How you
you.
doing?
It's been a long time.
Yes.
Time flies, doesn't it?
Yeah. I think this is. Oh.
This is
Yeah, so I'll just do a quick little introduction, just introduce Mark here. So yeah, this was a kind of a whirlwind update to the Fashion Place West Station Area Plan. A lot of it, most of it has not changed. We updated some of the tables and figures and things. This was to comply with the state requirement for station area plans. So largely that is the implementation plan. We kind of figured out an actual vision statement, things like that. So I'll turn it over to Mark here for a little bit, and then we can take any questions you guys have.
Great, thanks Zach, and thanks for the time tonight. As Zach mentioned, this is an update to an existing plan that the city has on the books that was adopted in 2021. The state legislation is very much focused on updates to land use and infrastructure around tracks, stations across the region. As a city that has a few of these, I'm sure you've had lots of discussions about land use around the tracks system. The station area plan, like Zach mentioned, a lot of the time for this project has been spent on implementation, which is what the state legislature wants to focus on. So the discussion here is really looking at what are steps in the next 5 years that the city can take, as well as allied partners that need to be involved in those discussions. The city doesn't own significant land in this area, and so a lot of it will be based on updates to zoning and land use that can incentivize development. And so during this process, we've worked with UTA, we've worked with UDOT, we've worked with the steering committee that Pam has been a part of for the last several months. And as well.
A lot of fun.
Fun is.
Very knowledgeable.
That's great, it was fun. The discussions with the Fashion Place Mall management and ownership is to confirm kind of vision for their property as a significant landowner in the area. One of the focuses of the implementation plan you'll see in the document is looking at some catalytic projects. And one of the things that a catalytic project helps us to do is to say, okay, what's something that can kind of light the spark for the type of development that we want to see in this area. The plan itself is very much focused on context, and so each of these catalytic projects has a different context Where development on the Fashion Place Mall parking lot, that would be a very different context from the neighborhoods that surround the station itself, which is primarily single-family residential. There's a bit of commercial along Winchester, and so the plan really looks at how do we look at parcels based on their context and updates to zoning that would help to achieve that. Each of these catalytic projects has kind of a champion, someone who would kind of take the lead. The city has a role in each one of these, but each one of them would have kind of different incentives and options to kind of take that forward. Discussions with UDOT during this project were quite, I will say, surprisingly positive. They were really open to discussions of changes to State Street through this corridor. They obviously have certain motivations and factors that are in that process, but one of the catalytic projects that we've got in here, we called the Life on State, is a sort of ongoing project of UDOT to look at how does State Street itself impact the communities around it, and how do we improve that. The city of Salt Lake City completed a Life on State project just last year. You can see in real time how that's impacted a few blocks of State Street, the south end of downtown. In discussions with UDOT, again, they were very much like, we are open to doing more of these things. I think for Murray, the stretch of the city center here in this stretch of State Street, and also down by Fashion Place Mall, those are two stretches that could in theory be done kind of in parallel with each other. UDOT very much put the onus on the city. They said, you have to come up with the funding, you have to, start that process. But they weren't slamming the door in our face, which is progress. So again, this plan, as an update to that previous small area plan, the goal was to get it in line with that new legislation, which we have done. All of the discussions, again, with partners, everyone was very much on board and interested in kind of the direction.
It's interesting that they want us to get this up to them on the hill. But UDOT won't help us to calm a little bit of State Street down.
So I can speak a little bit to that. So we're also, as you guys know, we're working on the behemoth of station area plans, is the Murray Central Station Area Plan. We just had kind of a work group meeting with UTA, who is working with UDOT a lot closer. And as part of that, we're finding out that these plans will help inform the legislature. Like, we're kind of taking the approach that the legislature can come down on UDOT while the cities go up at UDOT, right? And so it should squeeze UDOT on both sides. That's a little bit of a harsh term, but that's how we can get to, better transformations. There you go. Ha. So that's what we're hoping. And what I'm finding out is starting to occur is that these plans will help inform the legislature, which then can apply pressure down onto UDOT.
Okay.
Yeah, great. Any questions, comments, discussion you'd like to have about the draft that we've put together?
I'm excited.
Pam's excited.
I really am. I like how it's gonna feel. Honestly, I don't know if I'm gonna be here, but I just wanna make sure that what is being sent out, that we keep it in place somehow. So the new people that come in will see this and understand what we want for this area, for District 2. I really like the idea of, I don't know if you want to talk about the freeway or not, keep that, I don't know, but
Well,
I really
yeah.
like the feel of that,
Sure.
to calm that area down.
Yeah, I'll briefly talk about, as any of you who have been a pedestrian on Winchester have experienced, the walk from the Trax platform to Fashion Place Mall is less than desirable. That crossing of Winchester over 215 is no one's idea of a good time. So in talking with the mall management, they hear from people who work at the mall, like, yeah, they would utilize Trax more if it didn't feel like it was 1,000 miles from the mall itself. Psychologically, it's much farther than it really is. It's a short walk. It feels like a very long walk. And so Winchester, in talking with UDOT, the Winchester Bridge, the bridge itself is owned by UDOT, the street surface is owned by the city. The bridge itself, they think it may have about 9 more years. They were sort of anticipating 2034 might be kind of the time frame for a complete rebuild of the bridge. So we found a really interesting project in Columbus, Ohio, where they were doing something similar, where they had a freeway cutting through a neighborhood that was doing something similar to what's going on here in Murray. As you can see, the freeway here in this picture on the top, they've basically built a really wide bridge, and then they've actually built structures on that bridge. And so the experience being, on the street, at that street level, you have no idea that you're crossing over a freeway. And so this project, I would say, is a long and expensive project.
Yeah.
But it's also something that would repair something that is a pretty fatal flaw for the kind of division of the neighborhood. If you're on one side of the freeway, the other side of the freeway is never going to feel like it's part of the neighborhood. And so doing what we can, kind of a strategic, if UDOT is going to rebuild the bridge anyway, starting the conversation to say, hey, here's a crazy idea, but something that's been done elsewhere. We have a lot of information how ODOT in Ohio kind of dealt with this. It was definitely a long process, but in the end, it's something that, again, if you're on the street here, there's no feeling that you're crossing over a freeway. It feels very much like it's sewn the two parts of the neighborhood back together. So this project, again, a catalytic project that's going to take a lot of years, but one that could really have a major impact on a human person being on Winchester, what that might feel like.
I know I always ask this, but what is the time frame?
For this plan, or? That's a great question. These types of plans usually look out 20, 25 years. Again, this isn't a master plan that one person is going to come in and build one thing. It's really saying, how does the city kind of approach implementation? So those catalytic projects, the hope is that all 5 of these catalytic projects would at least start some discussion in the next 5 years. The mall, they think long-term no matter what, and so their build-out is a very long-term, but there are catalytic projects in here that the city has a lot more control over that could start, as soon as the city finds, time and resources to push them forward. So I guess to answer your question, it depends.
I knew you were gonna say that. I want a definitive answer.
Right. And one of the good things, for all the times I'll grunt and moan about how the state's making us do things, and I hate all of it. One of the good things that they did require that cities do is actually determine where funding can come from, right? So it gives us opportunities to find areas where we can go search for funding opportunities for things like this. And so I think that gives us a good head start too.
So a lot of the onus, I would say, is on planning staff to kind of kick off some of those discussions, to say, hey, we've got some projects in here that, the city needs to do X, Y, Z in order to accomplish. That may be something like Zach coming to you when you're talking budgets and saying, hey, we need to find money to kick off, staff time for rezoning or park design or working with UDOT. So they may come to you and be kind of poking to say, hey, we talked about this vision, here's a thing we need to do in order to get the ball rolling. So say yes when Zach asks for some money.
We'll see. The state needs to say yes.
Indeed. And like I said, working with UTA and UDOT, they've been very supportive. UTA owns a significant amount of land, and they have been very much like open to discussions to say, how do we start redevelopment of some parcels. They have not just their surface parking, but they've got some other land adjacent that could redevelop, again, as kind of a catalyst to other redevelopment.
We could make it look nicer, the stations.
Indeed. Nowhere to go but up.
Any other comments?
Nope.
Are you okay, Adam? Okay,
Great.
thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, our next discussion item is a resolution authorizing the execution of a second supplemental indenture of trust in connection with the city's electric revenue bond series 2025. Brendan Moore presenting 10 minutes.
Okay, so this is just a clerical correction of something that none of the 12 people who reviewed all of this bond documents realized was going to happen until the trustee did his, okay, what do I need to pay or invoice Murray for? And he realized that there was this thing in there called a 1/6, 1/12 thing. Basically, it said, our power company needs to make monthly payments into a trust fund. And then the trust fund, twice a year, will pay the interest and then once a year will pay the principal. So he doesn't want to do that. I don't want to
Who
send
is
the payments. His name is Carl Mathis with Zions Bank.
Oh, okay, because I circled, who is he? I thought it would be you.
No,
Okay.
I don't want to make a monthly payment. He doesn't want to invoice me monthly.
Okay.
It's not like you can just do a direct debit or out of your checking account like you do for your house.
Right.
It doesn't work that way.
Okay,
And then, so he suggested, the Zions suggested that we contact the bondholder since there's only one, because we did a private placement. And when I talked to Abby, who was the representative on the telephone, she said, it contains what? So essentially, they didn't care. They didn't notice it either. So this is the paperwork necessary to have a second indenture that says this clause in the original indenture does not apply. So that's essentially what we're doing. And we're doing that so that we don't have to make monthly payments. And we're gonna bring that before you tonight.
Makes sense.
Get it passed, get it signed,
Yeah.
and then, because we made our first bond payment December 1st. So this would start January 1, so okay?
I just wanted to know who he was.
He is Carl Mathis at Zions Bank. They are the trustee for all of our bond.
Okay,
So he basically reads all the bond documents and is responsible for making sure that everything gets paid appropriately.
okay, sounds good. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, we're moving right along very quickly here. And our next agenda item is a discussion and ordinance enacting section 17.76.165 of the Murray City Municipal Code relating to residential pond. Oh, Chad,
It's me, and we got Zach, we got Zach on there.
what, Chad or Zach?
The wrong name was put on the paperwork and it's been carried through, but yeah,
That's fine.
As I've been pondering, of course, this is a continuance of the item that we were talking about last meeting, related to ponds and adoption of that ordinance, potential ordinance. And I've been pondering what I could maybe do to help facilitate discussion a little bit more. I think it would be helpful, there were some slides that we threw in our last presentation. We didn't quite get to them. There were some that we thought might be helpful as we have this discussion. I might, if it's okay, to just go through those really quickly as facilitation for this discussion. But if I had one theme that I'd like to just say for staff, that guides staff's recommendation on this, that would be ponds are different than pools. That's the overriding, I think, from our recommendation is that as you're looking at these, we ought to look at these different than we do for pools. We talked about that a little bit last time with Harriman kind of backing away from their pond ordinance because of some guidance that was given in the International Pool and Spa Code. But I wanted to show a few examples throughout Murray that might give a little bit more clarity about just as our as a community, what we've decided, how we've decided to treat ponds in relation or in contrast to how we treat pools. So this is just to this property. Let me get my mouse going here. I'm trying to get it over to the other screen. Hopefully we get it over there. Okay, well, I'll just talk it through. So if you look at that upper left-hand picture there, you can see there's a pool and a pond right together. This property is just to the west of the Murray City Cemetery. This is a apartment, multifamily type, townhome type development there. You can see on that picture to the bottom right, this is that pond and pool shown from just the perspective of me. I was standing there taking this picture. So you can see the pond on the right, the pool kind of upper left. We recognize that pool is different. We fenced it, right? We understand that that's a place that's conducive to swimming, to wading. So we understand that that's something that might be attractive to a young person or someone else to get into. But the pond, on the other hand, it wasn't designed for swimming or wading. It's not something that we try to create attractive places for entry into that. You can see those, I'm going to call them ornamental grasses. You might call them something else around that pond. But there's also some big boulders that you can kind of see in the background there. But this was designed for a different purpose, as an ornamental feature, to attract, to have fish or to attract wildlife or whatever the case may be. Another example, this is to the east of the cemetery now. Same scenario though, you've got a pond right next to a pool. And you can see the pond again, not designed for swimming and wading. There are some ducks over there just off the picture. You've got a pool right there that's surrounded by a fence, right? Again, we recognize that this pool is inherently different from the pond. And that's something that we've recognized as a community and as really all the ordinances we looked at really look at these two things differently. Of course, we have some great examples throughout the community. Willow Pond Park, big pond, close to single-family residential.
Yep.
Definitely has some depth to it. It's someplace you can go fishing. There's a nice picture of it. I don't know what it was about the lighting that day, but I really like these pictures, so I'm not bragging on myself. It really turned out kind of nice. This is some ducks, again, this is the park that's just over there, not too far. Kind of on the bottom part of that picture is that little Winchester Park right there, has another pond. You can see there at the bottom left-hand side of that picture. Of course, our golf course has some ponds there too, but again, just as a community, we've recognized that these ponds are different than pools, though they ought to have a different set of regulations. Of course, we've got some up there at Wheeler Farm as well that have some ponds that are established. So I just wanted to talk through that just a little bit. We didn't have a chance to look at those last time. The other two things I would say again is that we think that the Planning Commission did a good job of looking at this. They did forward you an ordinance for adoption. The one piece that they took out was that piece related to building permits. We have some hesitancy in that now that we have that additional information that was given to us by our colleagues in Harriman about that change to that International Pool and Spa Code. We think that that's worth a good healthy pause to say, is that the right standard to use? Because that standard that many communities have used for the trigger for a building permit is a standard that really doesn't apply to ponds. It's a standard that applies to above ground tanks. Many communities, because they don't know which standard to apply, have taken and applied that standard. But as communities have looked at that, we have the same hesitation that that's probably not the right standard because it's really not based on anything related to a pond. The other one is, I wanted to just mention that we do have quite a few scenarios. I'm going to go back up to our ordinance, the proposed ordinance, where we require standards but don't require a permit. And I'm just getting there to what was recommended to you. But an example of that would be fences, right? We have standards that apply. People have to comply with those standards, but there is no permit required for just a regular fence around someone's yard. As long as they comply with those standards, they're good to go. Same thing with smaller, I should say. They're still fairly large. Less than 200 square feet sheds don't require a building permit. These are fairly big structures. If you can picture a just slightly under 10 by 20 shed, that's not a small shed, and that it can be built without a permit, provided that they meet certain standards. And so the Planning Commission's recommendation is similar to that. providing standards, providing some clarity for what can and can't be done with ponds without the need for necessarily obtaining a building permit. Difficulty in obtaining a building permit for ponds is that, as we talked about last time, you would really have to be looking for third-party consultants to create the type of information that would be needed to really assess the impact of that. And well, as we've talked with our city engineer, our building official, these are the folks that are experts in their fields, they've said there really isn't a need for that to be reviewed. That really, if you have these kind of standards, a liner required, minimal setbacks to make sure that it's not too close to a property line. Electrical permits, when we have electrical, those things are important, but other than that, there's not a large concern about the impacts of those ponds. So with that, we are, like we talked about last time, we're bringing forward this recommendation to the Planning Commission. That's it on the screen. That's what they recommended that you approve as your new ordinance for regulating ponds. And I'm happy to continue this conversation from last time.
Okay. I have a son who lives in Washington DC, and he's the vice president of the National Pool and Spa Association. I asked him, because I have a constituent who keeps telling me that it's the same thing. I asked him, so is a pool and a pond the same thing? And he said no. He said you can't even consider them as the same thing in any area or in any level or, you know, under any circumstance, because they're completely different. So, you know, I think we just need to get away from that. I would think he would know. But I have a lot of concerns with this, and I've done a lot of, you know, research and soul searching, and my concern is if you have a building permit for a pond, what would the requirements be? I mean, how do you determine what kind of permit or a building that a pond is? I don't know if it's making sense
Yeah.
what I'm trying to
I think
discern, but
You're right, that's one of the difficulties is that it's not a structure. And with a pool, you have a structural component. There are, you know, usually you have concrete or some other type of liner or something. You have reinforcement for that liner because of the nature of what that is. With the pond, you know, and the original language that we proposed to the Planning Commission included really kind of, and I'm just trying to see past Pam right now. I can look at my own screen too, I'll put my glasses on. I don't know what I'm doing, I got it right here. But you can, things like information related to soil stability, erosion control, those are the kind of things. And those are the types of things that you'd need a professional, right, to come up with that information and say, well, yeah, this is stable, the soils can handle these pressures from the water, all those kind of things. What we found as we've talked to, again, our building official, our city engineer, is that with a pond, because it's not designed for swimming and wading, and just because of the nature of it, that as long as you have a liner that would keep that water in there, which, as we've talked to the Wasatch Pond Association folks, they've said, if you're gonna build a pond, you're gonna put a liner in, because it defeats the purpose if you don't, right? So when you have that liner in there, it prevents a lot of those concerns you'd have related to erosion, related to impacts to soil, because that water is contained. And because it's in the ground, and because the depths of those are not pool depths, they're not typically built to the depth of a swimming pool. We talked about that a little bit last time. Those concerns about, you know, the hydrostatic forces and those kind of things are just not the same as they would be for a pool. So there's, again, the consensus was that if you were going to require a permit, you'd want to have something related to soil stability and erosion control, but that almost universally, if you have that liner, it's going to take care of most of those concerns. The exception is electrical, right? We don't want to, when you mix power and water, those are not great things to mix without somebody looking at that. But that's something that, you know, either the pump that they've got will have some UL listings or things that can help people to understand what those requirements would be, or you'd have someone that would design that if it's not a plug and play, but if it's one of these that's hardwired, you'd have someone that would design that electrical plan. That's been required always by the city. That's a requirement today. It's required by every city that we talk to, whether or not they require a pond permit. Every city requires an electrical permit if there's going to be electricity that's hardwired for the pump.
We already have that.
We already have it, every city we contact has that, yep.
So I'm wondering if we're gonna ease the problematic part of this ordinance. And if I think there's a lot of problems, I think there's some wisdom to eliminating it, and if we do eliminate E, I question why even go forward with the ordinance. Like, I'm not really sure what it's accomplishing at that point in time.
That was like a symbolic thing we're doing.
Yeah, it just makes us feel good, but it's not doing anything at the end of the day. And I'm hesitant to add E to it because it does add a lot of cost to on a pond. Like getting a third party in there, because if we can't do it in-house,
How much is that gonna cost the city
like
to have another
Well, that would
person
go on
go
to-
in and check that pond?
that would go on a resident. They'd have to pay for it when they're going for the permit. So,
Yeah, they'd have to hire a third-party consultant to come up with those plans. We would review them or have
Right.
someone else review them. if
Well,
we
what
didn't have
about
the
going in and
expertise.
checking it to make sure? Just
Once-
like you're finishing a basement.
Sure. Once we have that baseline established by a consultant, that's something that our folks are trained to go and check that type of.
So you
work.
wouldn't have to hire somebody special for that.
We don't expect that once we have that baseline. Again, you can consider it the same as like a building permit for a home. Once we have, the basics by a structural engineer that have been outlined for what that can be, then our folks go out and make sure those things have been done. But it's just a matter of establishing what would need to be done. And that does add significant cost. Because you're looking at, for soil stability, for example, you're looking at someone like a soils engineer. So you're gonna have, that's the type of person that would have to prepare that report.
Also, I have a constituent who has an amazing pond in their yard, and in fact, they won the Murray Beautification Award twice. And they have this beautiful pond that kind of meanders on their property, and it goes to an area where they have koi. And so they have to have it deeper, so the koi have a place to winter. And so if we did 24 inches deep, they couldn't have that, right?
Without a permit, right now the way it's presented, they'd have to get a permit for that.
But they would have to get
They would be grandfathered in, wouldn't they? Or-
That one would be, right?
Yeah.
but in the
The
future
They just-
situation.
Diane is talking about, don't they have to go deeper to keep the
So-
koi fish
But
alive?
this doesn't limit at 24.
No.
It starts at 24 is where you have to get the permit. So you could go
Yeah.
40 inches deep if you wanted, 60 inches deep.
So we talked with a representative, or I think he's the secretary for the Wasatch Pond Association, and they said 30 inches is really the minimum you want for fish to be able to overwinter. It also gives them protection from predators. You've got raccoons and heron that'll come in and sometimes try to eat those fish out of ponds, so that gives some protection.
Yeah. This is a hard one because I have so many citizens that it will affect, the whole city.
Back to the 24 inches though, I want to be clear, the reason why I think the planning commission made a wise recommendation is that 24 inches is a standard that's really from a code that is not intended for ponds. It's a standard that applies to above ground tanks, right? So cities without any clear guidance.
Tanks?
Yeah, water tanks. So without any clear guidance that these standards apply to ponds, cities have said, well, we don't know where to start even. We'd have to maybe go through some huge analysis to figure out what the right threshold is. We'll just adopt that standard. So now, it might sound like, well, why on earth did you recommend that to us? Well, this has all been things that we've found out as we've gone further in discussions with Harriman, because I mentioned that they were the kind of the model ordinance we looked at and said, well, you guys have got to figure it out what we think, it looks like you thought through this. And they admitted, well, we thought we did too until we got that guidance from the International Swimming Pool and Spa Code that says you really shouldn't be applying these, they weren't meant to be applied to anything but swimming pools and to above ground tanks, the things that they actually did the analysis on, right? So we think that, short of first of all, I think we want to be always careful about adopting standards based on limited instances of concern, but I think also we would want to be very careful about now with the knowledge that we have since you directed us to do this research, we now have new knowledge, and I'd be concerned about adopting this as our threshold now that we know what we know.
It's just something we should table for.
I know, well, I guess the question is, do we wanna move it to a council meeting and put it to a vote?
Okay, so let me ask Chad a question first before we go there. So if we don't pass this, B, anyone can build a pond within 5 feet of our property line if we don't pass this.
Right now, we just don't have the standard
Okay,
yet.
so they can't.
Yeah.
So if we don't pass this, then can they build ponds without liners?
They could, we think it's unlikely that they would, but they could.
But they could right now, right? How about D? If we don't pass this,
Already required, yeah.
that's always required. So these already.
These are there, yeah.
So B and C are really the big boys coming in here saying we need to be 5 feet from the property line and put a liner to that.
I think everybody would put a liner in there, you're gonna just, unless
With
you
their water bill.
love giving us money in your water bill.
I'm just saying, there are people and there are people, right?
Maybe.
Right? I mean, if we have to spell it, I mean, if we have to put warning on coffee cups that it's hot, there's a reason for that. There are people on this planet that need to be told to put a liner in a pond.
Okay.
So as far as if we're at least passing something that will say, stay 5 feet from the property line and put a liner in place, I'm comfortable with that minimum standard and moving it forward to council. If you guys feel like this is going too far, then I don't know what your thoughts are.
What do you think, Pam? Go forward or not?
I agree with Paul on some of the things like the liner and keeping it a property line. But my concern, I think people are gonna do whatever they want to in their backyard without a permit or with a permit. They're gonna still do whatever they want. I had a neighbor that did that. He did his own thing in his backyard. And are we overreaching into the other districts because your district is having a concern with this? Are we reaching into District 1 and 2 and 3 and 5? I have a concern with that. I mean, you have to have a building permit to finish a basement and put a shed if it's bigger than what?
200 square feet.
Right, I mean, you need a permit for this, you need a permit for that. Are the people really gonna come in for a permit for a pond?
And in this case, just to go back to what Paul said, there wouldn't be a permit required except for electrical.
Right.
Yeah, there's
So it just,
Right.
but it does give us an opportunity, if there is a concern from a neighbor, that we can say, well, here's the minimum standards that apply, right?
Yeah.
Just like with the fence. Right now with the fence, we have rules that apply. You don't
Yeah.
need a permit, but there's still rules, so.
So I guess we could bring it to the council, vote on it without E around it.
So you're,
Just delete
so
E.
you're all right going forward with E off? That's what you
Yeah.
would say, okay? Diane, you only have like 2 minutes. Go forward or keep it? Keep it here. I mean, go forward or just let it drop.
I mean, what Pam said, I think, is a good point. I know I have a neighborhood that's very, very worried about it. Although we haven't had any complaints or had any issues that I'm aware of, have we?
No, this is not.
Have you
issues.
guys ever had,
I have nothing from any citizens at all, especially with Willow Pond in my district. I haven't had anything. Has Kit, I mean,
But
Has
I just think
anything
this is
happened?
preventative. This is like saying, people use common sense, put a liner in there, keep it away from the fence, 5 feet. You know, just common sense things, but if we don't outline it, someone could, say, I'm gonna build a pond, but I'm gonna dig a hole in it and fill it up with water, see what happens, right? Next thing we know, we have water seepage into
right,
people's basements
I know,
and things,
that's-
right?
yeah,
So that's what I'm saying, this is just common sense. I don't think it's too intrusive.
Mm.
That's, you know,
Well, and you're kind of the, do not, tread.
yeah.
So if you're okay with bringing it forward and eliminating E, then
Okay, so I think it sounds like
do we have support?
the majority is to send it to the council next time. So we'll do a vote in the next council meeting.
Thank you.
Thanks, Chad, I
And thank
appreciate
you for
all
learning
your-
more about ponds than you
Yes.
ever wanted.
Yeah, I like ponds. Ponds are cool.
I know they're cool, and we don't wanna discourage people from having ponds, because they can be really lovely.
Thank you, Chad.
But we want them to be safe.
Is there any other questions or comments before we close this meeting? Okay, this meeting is adjourned. Thank you. Are we ready? It looks like everybody's almost ready.
I've thought about that.
Good afternoon. Oh, no, it's the evening. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Murray City Municipal Council City Council meeting of December 9th, 2025. I'm Pam Cotter. District 2, we have Paul Pickett. District 1. District 3, Scott Goodman is not here this evening. We have Diane Turner, District 4, and Adam Hawk, District 5. We have Jennifer and Brooke and Mayor and GL. Welcome, everyone. The first thing we need to do is have the pledge, and I have asked our very own Doug Hill.
Please stand if you're able and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Doug. The next thing on our agenda is the approval of minutes for the council meeting for November 18th. I will take a motion and a second.
I make a motion to approve the minutes from City Council meeting of November 18th, 2025.
Second.
I have a motion by Councilmember Pickett and a second by Councilmember Hawk. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. And any opposed? None. The minutes are approved. Thank you. Our next agenda item is citizens' comments. Please come up. We love to hear from you. You have 3 minutes. Step to the microphone, state your name, city of residence, and then fill out the required form where there's Patty, where she will give you a clipboard to fill out. Thank you. The time is yours.
Might as well take advantage of it. My name is Kathy Burton, and I live in Murray. And I'm actually on the Murray Senior Recreation Center Advisory Board. I always get that a little bit there. But, 45 years ago, Murray City had the forethought to establish a senior center where people could socialize with their peers, a place where seniors could take classes to continue learning. And things like history classes, the computer lab. It's really, truly amazing how far tech has come. I started learning how to type on a manual typewriter, and so being able to experience and improve and go forward with the classes that they offer at the Senior Center is just amazing. The ability to take exercises to improve your coordination and muscle strength. One of the things I've been taking is yoga there. And it's amazing. I can now actually do a tree pose and actually just stand on one foot and not fall over. Yay me. Also, there are group games that people can play. There's a lot of people that maybe not be able to be taking exercises classes per se, but they still want the mental interaction. And to be able to take these different playing games like Mexican Train or Bridge, it keeps the mental acuity there. With the meals that they serve at the Senior Center, I know you guys have gone over and you've had the opportunity to experience the meals there. The Chef Omar is incredible. The meals that are provided are affordable for the seniors. And I can't tell you how many of the seniors actually look to that meal because their finances are so limited that they take this meal and usually they make 2 to 3 meals out of it. And so that's critical for people to be just for their livelihoods. We even have 3 people over 100 years old that go to the center and they're actually active with the center. And our space to provide activities that's limited. And my perspective is, I know that you guys have talked before about possibly getting a new building, and that's just not something that's in the plans, and I understand that. But if you could at least consider expanding the building that we're in so that we can actually have more classes. We're limited to our classes, and people want to join. They want to be involved. And I just wanted you to know how much we appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Can I go next?
Oh, sure, come right ahead.
Who wants this?
It goes over to, yeah.
Thank you. First, thank you for being here in December. I appreciate that. My name is Robin, and I was raised here in Murray. I went to Liberty Elementary, then I went to Hillcrest Junior High School before Murray High School. So I've been here a while. And I loved the smokestacks because when I began to drive, no matter where I was, I knew how to get home. I just aimed for the smokestacks, and pretty soon I'd start seeing something I recognized. I have a neighbor problem, and it's kind of been ongoing ever since he moved in. He's a disrespectful guy and a bully. And, you know, I kind of just let him bully me for a while. And then my sister said, hey, you know, there's some things you can do. And I got a restraining order. And that only lasted 30 days. And you know, now he's back again, harassing me. I was standing in my parking strip, just wanting to deal with some dandelions. He drove up with a great big long truck, and he said, move your ass or I'll run you down. Well, you know, I don't want to go through that. And so if it's possible, I'd like to have a permanent restraining order for him and his whole family so they can't come within 30 feet of me. And so I'm asking for that. I'm also asking, my understanding of a business license, to have a license to sell, you can either sell from your home or you can sell from your yard. If you sell from your yard, you need a business license. But he's selling from his yard without a license. So I'd kind of like that to get straightened out as well. But the most important thing is my safety, and I'd like the permanent restraining order. Thank you.
Robin, can we have your last name? And
sure, it's Simper, S-I-M-P-E-R.
Okay. And what district are you in?
What's that?
What district are you in?
I'm going to say 4, but I'm not exactly sure. I live just west of State on 59th South.
That's my district.
2?
Yeah.
Well, hi. Yeah,
Hi.
I have a problem.
Hi.
So I hope that you're
Yes, that's my district. Okay.
help me.
Will you make sure you put your last name down also on the form from Patty? She did?
I
Okay.
did.
All right, thank
And my
you.
email too.
In your email also?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Thank you. Good to meet you.
Well, same here.
Kathy? She is.
Okay, seeing that there's no other comments, we will move on to our agenda. Seeing that there's no special recognition, we won't go to that. And there's no consent agenda, we won't be doing that. So we're going to jump right into public hearings. Our first one is to consider an ordinance related to land use amends, updates, and renames the existing Fashion Place West Small Area Plan to the Fashion Place West Station Area Plan as the element of the general plan, and Zachary Smallwood is presenting. Welcome, and could you introduce your...
Definitely, yeah. So I have Mark Morris with Voda Landscape and Planning, who will be going over just the plan real quickly with you guys. I know it's very uncommon, but we just talked about this like 45 minutes ago. So I'll turn it over to him. I will say that the Planning Commission did recommend approval of the amendment to the plan, and staff is also recommending approval of that too. So I will turn it over to Mark, and yeah, if you have questions, feel free to just yell at me.
Great, thank you, Zach. As he mentioned, we are offering a draft plan, an update to the Fashion Place West Small Area Plan to a Station Area Plan. In summary, the Small Area Plan was adopted by Murray City in 2021. This update is driven by legislation from the state legislature. And the process that we've been through over the last 6 months is looking at recommendations from that small area plan. What do we need to do in order to meet that legislation? We have been working with an in-house steering committee over the last few months, outreach to major stakeholders like UTA, UDOT, and the Fashion Place Mall Management. The small area plan, when it was developed in 2020, went through a full public outreach process, including open houses and survey to get input from the general public as well. The vision for this plan is to look at how do we as a city implement specific steps across this area to solve at least locally issues of housing, transportation access to jobs. What this plan also does is looks at infrastructure investments from the city. What are ways in which the city can invest in the community in order to resolve some major issues. The plan itself is quite lengthy, but just a brief recap. Implementation is the focus. The state legislature wants to see what are tasks over the next 5 years to look at in order to get the ball rolling on some pretty major changes. So with that, I will end and answer any questions or comments you may have.
Do we have any comments or questions?
No, I think he answered all of them earlier when we were in the committee of the whole, so thank you for that.
Of course.
Yep. Okay, because this is a public hearing, we will turn it over to the public now. You have 3 minutes. Please state your name and your address, and you will be filling out a form. We're just talking about number 1 first. Okay, seeing that there are no comments, I will close the public comment and turn it back to the council. Does the council have any questions or concerns with this first agenda item? If not, then I will take a motion.
Okay. I motion to approve the ordinance related to land use, amending, updating, and renaming the existing Fashion Place West Small Area Plan to Fashion Place West Station Area Plan as an element of the general plan.
Okay.
I'll second.
All right, I have a motion by Councilmember Hawk and a second by Councilmember Turner. Are there no other comments or anything? Then I will ask Brooke for a vote.
Ms. Turner?
Aye.
Mr. Hawk?
Aye.
Mr. Pickett?
Aye.
Ms. Cotter?
Aye. This has passed. Thank you. All right, our next agenda item is number 2, consider an ordinance enacting section 12.28.070 of the Murray City Municipal Code relating to collection fees for outstanding balances owed to the city and amending section 7.04.030, 12.30.010, and 13.04.040 and 13.48.050 of the Murray City Municipal Code relating to the same, and we have Brenda Moore. Okay, Brenda Moore will be presenting. Thank you, Brenda, for being here.
Thank you for having me. So this is, it seems like it touches on a lot of code sections. Most of those code sections, what we are doing is saying, we couldn't do a late fee, so we're adding late fees to those. And then the other thing that we are doing is that when we send a utility bill, a return check, or whatever we have to collections. Now, these are not people that are currently probably living in the city, because if they were living in the city, and we're currently paying utilities, we have ways of getting them to pay. But when they have moved out, they still owe us a substantial amount of money. We send them to collections. This change allows us to have the collector charge a fee on top of the original amount. We get our original amount back if they collect, and they get to keep their fees. So that is what this ordinance change will do, and then allow us to charge late fees at golf and some other of the funds that don't have that in the ordinance. Do you have any questions?
Do we have any questions for Brenda at this time? Okay, because this is a public hearing, I will open this to the public. You have 3 minutes to comment. You need to fill out a form with stating your name and address, and Patty will give you that form. Seeing that there is no comment, I will close the public comment part, and I will turn it over to the council. The council, do you have any comments, concerns, or remarks on this agenda item? I think it's great, Brenda.
How about a motion?
I will take a motion. Go right ahead.
All right, I will make a motion to adopt an ordinance enacting section 12.28.070 of the Murray City Municipal Code relating to collection fees for outstanding balances owed to the city and amending section 7.04.030, 12.30.010, 13.04.040, and 13.48.050 of the Murray City Municipal Code relating to the same.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
I have a second by Councilmember Pickett. Thank you. I have a motion by Councilmember Turner and a second by Councilmember Pickett. Is there any other comments? If none, Brenda? Brooke? I have Brenda on the mind.
Yeah.
Brooke?
Ms. Turner.
Aye.
Mr. Hawk.
Aye.
Mr. Pickett.
Aye.
Ms. Cotter.
Aye. Seeing that this has passed, we are now going to go into our business items. Our first business item is consider a resolution finding that adopting the Utah Wildland Urban Interface Code to apply within Murray City is impracticable. Joey Middleman is here.
Do you have the resolution up there?
I do, right here.
Okay, yep, I'll grab that. Oh, here.
No, you're fine. Let me make sure that's the one. Does it say urban on it? Oh, the official, oh.
All right. Thank you, council. This is a little bit odd for folks that are maybe just tuning in, so I think it offers, it probably is due for just a brief explanation. Utah adopted the House Bill 48, which then required all cities, us included, even though we don't have a wildland-urban interface here in Murray, to at least analyze our area and identify whether we would adopt the 2006 WUI code, which stands for Wildland Urban Interface. And it's truly meant for places like Park City or up along the summit, up along the banks of the hill, but not necessarily here in Murray. Even if you look at the Jordan River, the intent is to not make a more stringent building code just because your house backs up to the Jordan River with a couple of trees there. So without further ado, I'll go ahead and read the resolution then, if that's okay. So resolution number R25-60, a resolution finding that adopting the Utah Wildland Urban Interface Code to apply with the Murray City is impractical, whereas in 2010 the Utah legislature adopted the 2006 edition of the Utah Wildland Urban Interface Code issued by the International Code Council with approved alternatives or amendments, and in 2025 passed House Bill or HB 48 2025, requiring that each municipality identifies boundaries of the wildland urban interface within the municipality and adopt and begin enforcing Utah Wildland Urban Interface WUI code no later than January 1st, 2026. And whereas the WUI code supplements the building code for the fire code to provide for an increased regulations to mitigate the fire and life safety hazards wildland urban interface areas, which are areas within the community that are susceptible to wildland fires. And whereas the purpose of the WUI code is to establish more strict regulations consistent with nationally recognized good practices for safeguarding of life and property protection, and whereas the state law set forth parameters of the wildland urban interface with the following definitions, see code 65A-1-1 definitions. Wildland means an area where the development is essentially non-existent except roads, railroad, power lines, or similar transportation facilities and structures, if any, are widely scattered. Definition of wildland urban interface means the zone where structures and other human developments meets or intermingles with undeveloped wildland. Definition of wildland fire means that a fire that consumes A, wildland, B, wildland urban interface, and whereas generally the wildland urban interface is where homes and infrastructure border flammable vegetation such as brush, grass, or forest. And whereas the examples of wildland urban interface include A, subdivision developments adjacent to the national forest or large wildland area, B, rural developments with large parcels, or C, isolated cabins in mountains. And whereas the fire chief has discussed this applicability of the code to Murray City with representatives of the State Division of Forestry, Fire, and State Lands, and was told, among other things, specifically that the Jordan River Parkway and Murray Park are not considered wildland urban interface areas. And whereas the fire department staff, including the fire chief, has referred to the Utah State Department of Natural Resources DNR map that designates the areas in the state that have been assigned structural exposure scores high enough to qualify as the wildland urban interface areas, did not identify on the map any areas of the city that would qualify as wildland urban interface areas as. Whereas, given the discussion of representatives of the State Division of Forestry, Fire, and State Lands, and the review of the DNR map, and their own analysis, the fire department staff, including the fire chief, are unable to recommend the establishment of the WUI boundaries required under the code. And whereas, based upon the city's geographical locations away from the foothills of the mountains, its distance from any underdevelopment wildland, its built environment, and lack of definable zones qualifying as wildland urban interface areas, the City Council finds it impractical to adopt the WUI code. Now therefore, be it resolved by Murray City Municipal Council as follows. Number 1, recitals. The foregoing recitals are true and correct and incorporated herein by reference. Number 2, findings. The City Council has reviewed relevant provisions of the state law, received the explanation from the fire chief regarding the applicability of the Utah Wildland Urban Interface Code to Murray City, and based upon the record and its independent judgment and analysis finds that it is impractical to adopt the Wildland Urban Interface Code. Specifically, the Code Council finds the following. A, given the city's current understanding and interpretation of the state law, there is neither wildland nor underdevelopment wildland within the city. B, there is no zone within the city where structures and other human development meets or intermingles with the underdevelopment wildland. C, based upon the city's geographical location away from the foothills of the mountains, its distance and underdevelopment wildland, its built environment, and lack of definable zones qualifying as wildland urban interface area, it is impractical to adopt the WUI code. Number 3, the city and state of Utah share a common interest in public safety, property, and environmental protection, and the city supports the adoption of the Utah Wildland Urban Interface Code as part of a comprehensive effort to reduce community risk. 4, the mayor, in consultation with the fire chief and other relevant staff, will continue to monitor the implementation of the WUI code in and around the Salt Lake County and return and report to the City Council should the fire chief's recommendation regarding the adoption of the WUI code change. Number 5, the resolution shall become effective upon passage. GL, do I read that last part? Do I read that last part? Passed, approved? Okay. And at that point, Council, I turn it back over to you.
Thank you, Joey. Kate, do we have any questions for Fire Chief Middleman? Kate, if we don't, I will entertain a motion from the council.
A motion to approve the resolution that was just read.
I second.
I move to approve a resolution finding that adopting the Utah Wildlife Urban Interface Code to apply within Murray City is impractical.
Thank you.
I second that.
Okay, we have a motion by Councilmember Hawk and a second by Councilmember Pickett. Brooke, would you call a roll?
Ms. Turner?
Aye.
Mr. Hawk?
Aye.
Mr. Pickett?
Aye.
Ms. Cotter?
Aye. Chief, it has passed. Thank you for coming. We really appreciate you coming here. Okay, we're going to do our next business item is to consider an ordinance enacting section 2.11.030 and amending section 2.28.040, 17.67.060, 17.172.010, and 17.172.020 of the Murray City Municipal Code relating to code enforcement. Chad Wilkinson is presenting. Good evening, Chad.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. Thanks, Council. I'm going to keep my comments brief because we've talked about these items. I'm actually going to combine these two business items into one presentation. This business item, the first one, number 2, is related to establishing a code enforcement division and related changes that facilitate that. The second one, which is business item number 3, relates to the actual establishment of an administrative code enforcement program. So it'll be a brand new chapter in your code. This is Title 11, And you've got a copy of that entire packet, about 40 pages of new code that'll be adopted into into the Murray Municipal Code. So just as a brief review for the council and just as an overview for those that may be in the audience that haven't heard of this initiative before, but this would establish an administrative code enforcement program that would give the city really some additional tools. And it'll provide for a process that gives the ability for code enforcement officers to issue administrative citations and also notices of violation. Those are two different things. The administrative citation would be used for fairly easy to resolve issues such as parking on grass or maybe even illegal on-street parking, those kind of things that can be resolved very quickly. The notice of violation would be used in a situation where we just haven't had good cooperation from someone that has an issue that takes a little bit longer to resolve, such as a shed that's been built without a permit in the wrong place, potentially business operations that are not in keeping with the conditional use permit, those kind of things that take a little bit longer to resolve, but also could be handled through administrative action. This ordinance also establishes, these two ordinances also establish the process for this administrative code enforcement program, which would include the hiring of an administrative law judge. So that would be a position that would be appointed, that would be recommended by the mayor and appointed with the advice and consent of the council to serve as an administrative law judge and to hear appeals and other items that would need to be considered to give folks really due process. It's really about giving the citizens due process that they can go through if they have concerns about the code enforcement that's being pursued. The ordinance also establishes fines, but I wanted to make sure that you also know as a council that we'll have a future discussion about fines in relation to your consolidated fee schedule. So we've set some maximum fines that would apply if you don't have something specifically for an item, but we're going to have future discussions about what those fines and those penalties should be that'll be adopted into your consolidated fee schedule. So with that, we've had a lot of discussion about this in our various committee of the whole meetings, so I'm not going to spend a lot more time on this. I will again say that we think this is a really important set of tools that we're now going to be provided to our city staff. But I want to make sure that the public knows that from the perspective of how this will be administered, the philosophy that has always been the philosophy of Murray City is that enforcement is best handled with voluntary compliance. It'll still be the first approach will be to work with people to try to resolve concerns without going to this administrative code enforcement program. We have a majority of our citizens, when they are informed of a code violation, they work voluntarily to try to bring that into compliance, and we really appreciate that. This is for that small minority of folks that, in spite of our best efforts to work with them, they just don't respond to that. And so this will give some additional tools for us to use in those cases. So with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions. Again, that's the presentation for both of those items, and you'll vote on those two ordinances separately.
Thank you, Chad. Okay, I will turn it over to the council for any questions for Chad or comments.
I'd like to make a comment on this. I'm excited that we've reached this point. This is one of the issues that pushed me to run for office. Our lack of a civil code that would allow us to work with people that were struggling to keep their properties looking decent. And so it's good to see this baby being born right now. It'll take them a while to teach it how to walk and how to dress it, but the baby being born is a happy moment for me. And thank you for the time that you and your staff have worked and have spent on this.
Thank you, and I failed to acknowledge the work that our city attorney, J.L. Critchfield, has done in support of this effort. He's reviewed it several times as we've had several versions of this ordinance go back and forth, and we just want to thank him for that.
I just want to say thank you as well. I think it will provide a really helpful tool for the city. So anyway, I agree with Councilmember Paul about that. So thank you.
If there's no other comments, I will entertain a motion from the council.
I will make a motion to adopt the ordinance establishing the administrative code enforcement program as listed on this page.
Are you including 2 and 3? Or just the 1?
We'll just do one at a time. We'll do that
Okay,
first one
go
first.
right ahead. Thank you.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion by Councilmember Pickett and a second by Councilmember Hawk.
Ms. Turner?
Aye.
Mr. Hawk?
Aye.
Mr. Pickett?
Aye.
Ms. Cotter?
Aye. Thank you. It has passed. So now we will go on to item number 3 for a motion.
So I'll motion to adopt an ordinance enacting Title 11 of the Murray City Municipal Code establishing the Administrative Code Enforcement Program.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
I have a motion by Adam Hawk and a second by Councilmember Turner. I will turn it over to Brooke for a vote.
Ms. Turner?
Aye.
Mr. Hawk?
Aye.
Mr. Pickett?
Aye.
Ms. Cotter?
Aye, and it has passed. Thank you, Chad, for all your hard work. Okay, we are now going to consider a joint resolution adopting the Murray City Privacy Program Policy. Brooke Smith will be presenting. Welcome, Brooke.
Hi, good evening. I'm here to formally request the joint resolution and formally adopt the privacy program policy. Utah Code Section 63A-19-401 requires every entity in the state of Utah to establish a privacy program by December 31st, 2025. This program oversees the data we collect, manage, share, and protect, and the policy ensures that we are in full compliance with the state requirements. For the last several months, I've been working with the mayor's office, the attorney's office, and our IT department to make sure the program maintains and follows our operational needs and legal standards. And the policy, or the joint resolution, adopts a privacy policy and positions the city to meet the expectations and deadlines from the state. And so with that, I am formally requesting your support and adoption of this joint resolution. And let you know, if you have any questions, let me know.
I just have one. In Section 2, it says the mayor's office, along with the city recorder, will report back annually to the council on A and B.
Yes.
Do we have a time frame when that annual report will come to the council?
It will be sometime probably mid-year. We don't have a formal deadline, and if you want to request one, we can. It will be more of just like a check-in to see where we're at with our standards and where we're going. But once it's established and running, I imagine it will happen mid-year.
Okay.
Next year, and then annually after that.
Do we want to set a month or anything like that, or just let her handle it? Okay.
Mid-year fall, sometime around there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sounds good. That's the only question I had.
Okay.
Council, do you have any other questions? Okay, then I will entertain a motion from the council.
All right, I will make a motion to adopt a joint resolution adopting the Murray City Privacy Program Policy.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, we have a motion by Councilwoman Turner and a second by Councilmember Hawk. Brooke?
Ms. Turner?
Aye.
Mr. Hawk?
Aye.
Mr. Pickett?
Aye.
Ms. Cotter?
Aye.
Thank
It
you.
is, and it has passed.
Thank you.
Thank you, Brooke. All right, our next agenda item is number 5, consider a resolution of the Municipal Council, the Council of Murray City, Utah, the city, authorizing the execution of a second supplemental indenture of trust in connection with the city electric revenue bonds, Series 2025, authorizing the taking of other actions necessary to the consummation of the transaction contemplated by this resolution and related matters. Brenda Moore is presenting.
You can tell that was written by a bond attorney.
Yeah, certainly was.
Okay, so
Goodness.
the gist of this resolution that is before you is it's a second indenture, authorizes the second indenture, authorizes the mayor to sign it, and basically all it does is say that there is a clause in the general indenture that no longer applies. And that is the 1/6, 1/12 clause, which basically would require the city to make monthly payments into a trust that would then pay twice a year the bond payment. So this is agreed upon by all parties involved that that clause does not need to apply, and we can do what we normally do on all of our other bonds is every 6 months we send them an interest payment, and then once a year we send them the interest payment with the principal payment. So that is what this is allowing us to do. Any questions?
Hold on. Do we have any questions for Brenda at this time on this? Okay, if we do not have any questions for you, Brenda, I will entertain a motion from the council.
I make a motion that we approve a resolution adjusting payment terms for the 2025 power bonds.
Okay, I have a motion by Councilmember Pickett. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
I have a second by Councilmember Turner. I will turn it over to Brooke.
Ms. Turner?
Aye.
Mr. Hawk?
Aye.
Mr. Pickett?
Aye.
Ms. Cotter?
Aye. And it has passed, Brenda. Thank you. Our last agenda item for this council for 2025 is to consider a resolution adopting and approving the Murray City investment policy. Brenda Moore will be, no, it's not Brenda.
Mindy Stacy, City Treasurer.
Hi, Mindy, welcome.
Hello, thank you. So we are just looking to update our city investment policy to closely match the Utah Money Management Act. The only changes that it really makes is so that we can invest in certificate of deposits, and that it will allow us to select, or how we select our investment advisors and institutions. So that's all it basically is. Is there any questions?
Do we have any questions for Miss Stacy? All right, if we don't, I will entertain a motion from the council at this time.
I will make a motion to adopt the resolution which adopts and approves the Murray City investment policy.
I have a motion by
Second.
Councilmember Turner. Do I have a second?
Second.
We have a second by Councilmember Hawk. Brooke?
Ms. Turner?
Aye.
Mr. Hawk?
Aye.
Mr. Pickett?
Aye.
Ms. Cotter?
Aye, thank you, Brooke, and it has passed. Okay, seeing that we are all done with our business items, we are now going to turn it over to our mayor for reports and any questions that the council may have for him tonight.
Thanks, Pam. First of all, I just want to recognize Doug Hill. He doesn't like this stuff, but anyway, this is Doug's last council meeting. So we just want to say thanks to Doug, who's been with us for 35 years as our CAO, chief, don't just call him chief. Thank you, administrative, whatever. Chief, what do I always call him? A chief. I can't remember now. Anyway, so we're grateful for Doug. Doug has put in a lot of effort into this city and has worked hard and been in several departments. And we just want to recognize Doug for this being his last council meeting, and thank Doug for always being here, heading home late at night, an hour drive, so we're grateful to have you here. Also, want to recognize that, he doesn't want me to say this, but I'm going to say it anyway. He's got a retirement date that we're having a party on the 29th of December. He didn't want it, we just did it without his permission, but so it'll be 11:30 to 1:30 over at the Armory. So we'd like to welcome anyone that would like to come to that and celebrate with us for all the things that Doug has for us. So thanks, Doug, for all you've done for us, and especially our mayor's office. He's been in 8 years, and we appreciate for who you are and what you've done. Also, just want to wish everyone a Merry Christmas. No more council meetings till the 6th of January. So Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, Happy Holidays, and thanks for all that you do, and thanks for this wonderful city that we have.
Okay,
And thanks for you, Doug. We'll miss you. Won't be the same, obviously, but it really won't be the same. So thanks for all you've done.
Okay, and with that, the council would like to wish everyone a happy holidays and a Merry Christmas, and we will see you in 2026. Good night, everyone. Oh, and I adjourn.